Ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know on the channel, I like to dive into the story of Call of Duty. But one thing that many of you may not know is that Call of Duty's story isn't just in the games. And a lot of it you probably haven't even heard about. Now, everything that we are going to talk about today is based off of all of the main games and the stories that we've talked about on this channel. But today we are going to be diving into 5 lost stories from Call of Duty, ranging from games like Black Ops 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, and even into Call of Duty Ghost. Now, these stories were not in the game. Some of them were published as short stories, some of them as comics, but all of them tie in to the overall story of the Call of Duty universe, and all of them are actually canon. And this adds to many characters, including Ghost from Modern Warfare 2, Gabriel T. Rourke from Call of Duty Ghost, and Raul Menendez from Black Ops 2. Now, we're not going to go in depth with each of these stories today, but I'm going to give you a broad overview of what these stories are, how they were released, and the overview of them as a whole. And if you enjoy this kind of thing and maybe want to see more videos like this one, hit that like button, and the more likes this video gets, the more likely I would be to do a video on, say, one of these, for example, giving a deep dive into the entire story as a whole. So, hit that like button if you enjoy the video, but without further ado, these are 5 lost Call of Duty stories you probably haven't heard about. First one that we have here is called The Rightful King. It's a Black Ops 2 story, and it actually takes place as a prequel to Call of Duty Black Ops 2. This one was released on Amazon Kindle and removed a couple months later, and the only way people have this is if they downloaded it in the 2 months that it was available. Now, as far as what this story is all about, it focuses on the character Raul Menendez, the main villain within Black Ops 2. Now, if you don't know this, in Black Ops Declassified, which was a PS Vita game, his father, Jose Luis Menendez, was killed by CIA agents, leaving Raul Menendez homeless, alone, and this story takes place in the 1980s in the streets of Nicaragua, as well as the boroughs of New York, and follows the path of Raul Menendez as he forages his way through and eventually takes over his father's drug cartel, leading him to be the leader and leading him to what he does with Cortus Die in Black Ops 2. It's a shame that more people didn't get to see this story because it gives you a lot more background on the hate and revenge that Raul Menendez is trying to impose on Black Ops 2, and I'm wondering if we're going to see some of this story moving forward in Call of Duty 2024, aka Gulf War, because it takes place in the 90s. The second story that we have here is from Call of Duty Ghost, and again, this was released before the launch of Call of Duty Ghost on Amazon Kindle, once again being available for 2 months, but then later being removed. So the only way you could get access to it is if you downloaded it during that time. Now, this one is called Dragon's Breath and focuses on the character Gabriel T. Rourke. Now, as far as the story behind this, essentially, this takes place before the events of Call of Duty Ghost, before the bombs have been dropped and the world tattered and ruined. Basically, it goes over the events of the Ghost as a whole, and their leader commanding the Ghosts, Gabriel T. Rourke, and them going into the Amazon, and eventually Rourke being captured and taken deep into the Amazon rainforest. And as we know, based off of Call of Duty Ghost, he was taken into the jungle, tortured and twisted, going from a ghost to then a ghost killer. Now, this short story goes over that period of time from 2015 to 2017, as Gabriel T. Rourke slowly has his brain twisted deep within the Amazon rainforest. It focuses on what is going on with him within the Amazon and how he turns from a ghost to a ghost killer. Again, this is another story that gives a lot more background on the main villain within the game and gives a lot more credibility to him and explains his motivations in a lot more ways. Again, would have been nice to have some of this backstory within that campaign. But again, I have these stories, so if you want me to do videos on them going over the entirety of these stories, let me know down in the comments, or just simply hit that like button to show me that you enjoy this kind of thing. So the next one you may have heard of, and you can actually readily access it online. And these are the Modern Warfare 2 Ghost comics. Now, these, in my opinion, out of everything that we are going to talk about today, have the best story out of any of the things that we're going to talk about. And it focuses on the origin story of Simon Ghost Riley. Now, I have made a video of this, and I will link it with the full video down in the description. But as far as this story goes, it goes over and it shows you Simon Ghost Riley going into a hostage situation and he kind of talks through his origin story with the people holding people hostage. And his origin story is dark. Extremely dark. It goes over his childhood with an abusive father. It goes over how he was fighting against a drug cartel in Mexico and how he was taken hostage and escaped. And eventually that drug cartel murdered his entire family. And he wanted to get revenge, so he did, in a way where he ended up faking his death, stealing an enemy's dog tags, and disguising himself as a ghost. The next one we have is the Black Ops 3 comics. Now, this one has 6 different issues, and it doesn't really go into the story exactly like the other ones do, but it is a prequel to Black Ops 3. Now, it takes place right after the events of Black Ops 2, after the world is war-torn from Raul Menendez. The world starts to transform and there's a technology race going on and essentially a war between 2 different people, the Common Defense Pact, the Winslow Accord, and you follow some of the main characters that are also in Black Ops 3, including Hendricks, Taylor, people like that. Now, in this comic, you kind of go through the events and missions that they went on kind of during this arms race. And although it doesn't really push forward the story of Black Ops 3, it kind of gives more background on the military background of these individual characters, like Hendricks, like Taylor, things along those lines, and kind of gets you more familiar with these characters going into Black Ops 3. Now, this last one makes me angry, and it is the Call of Duty Vanguard comics. Now, why does it make me angry, you ask? Well, this story put forth in this 6 issues that they released before and during Call of Duty Vanguard is all about Task Force Vanguard. It is the story that the campaign of the game should have actually been, because it goes in depth with Butcher and Arthur Kingsley and all of these characters, explaining not what they did during the war, but explains how they became a part of Task Force Vanguard, something that was never ever explained during the campaign, and just left us questioning, why did Butcher pick these people? Why was he going after them? How did he go after them? We just got examples throughout the campaign of missions that these characters went on before they became a part of Task Force Vanguard. We never actually got the origin story of Task Force Vanguard, how they became a part of it, or why Butcher picked these selected soldiers. But if you want to know that story, the way to do so is through these comics. And let me tell you, it is a far better story than the campaign of Call of Duty Vanguard actually was, which is kind of sad. They should have used this story in the campaign, but hey, that's my opinion. So those are 5 lost stories from Call of Duty. Maybe you've heard of some of them, maybe you read some of the comics, but for the first 2 that I talked about, I didn't know about before a week ago. So if you learned something new, if you're interested in these, show me by hitting that like button. And if this video does well, then I'll do a video going more in depth with each of these stories, telling them exactly how they happened. But like I said, if you want to see that, hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, all of that kind of jazz. And let me know what you think of these stories down in the comments. But as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace. We are